Welcome to the Hyperbeat Podcast. Each episode, we chat with fitness professionals to get the story behind the business they created.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hyperbeat Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Tate. On this edition, we were lucky to have Alex from Orphic Education come down to Hyperbeat HQ, pre-COVID, of course, for a chat. Alex is one of the founders of Orphic Education, a fitness education provider with a vision to create a more focused, a more practical, and a more engaging education experience. My first question to Alex: explain the role of Orphic Education within the fitness industry.
It's actually the story of how it was conceptualized is my business partner Matt and I were in the gym and we were working for another fitness education provider who wasn't exactly doing their bit for the industry. Okay. They were promising a whole heap, not delivering much at all.
Okay.
So we're looking at each other and we said, you know what, man, let's do this.
Yep.
And let's do it right.
Okay.
Let's promise heaps and deliver more.
Yeah, cool.
So we came up with a new model of fitness education. We partner with some of the best strength facilities in Australia. And that goes all the way from grassroots, private facilities to fitness first, good life. Mm-hmm. They can see the value in what we do. And the difference is, number one, we care about our students. And number two, we're the most practical and the most hands-on certificate 3 and 4 in fitness in Australia.
Okay. So if we take a step back, your background, so you were working for somebody else. Have you been in the fitness industry pretty much your entire professional career?
Yeah, pretty much. So I was not so fantastic in high school. Mm-hmm. I just found that I couldn't fit into any of the boxes that they set out for me. Mm-hmm. My careers advisor told me sports science might be the way to go.
Yep.
So straight into a sports science degree at ACU. While I was doing that, I was eager to get into the industry before I was qualified. So I did my Cert 3-4. Mm-hmm. Now, that was really disenfranchising for me because it was just one of the worst experiences I had. Why is that? I was in the classroom with people who didn't know what a dumbbell was.
Okay.
I found that they were explaining what a dumbbell is.
Yeah, okay. You should have that prior knowledge.
You should have some sort of prior knowledge. Yeah. Or you should know what a quad is.
Yeah, okay.
Like, for instance. So I found that the content was really, really just scratching the surface of what a PT should know.
Too basic.
Exactly right. And in the assessments, I found that it was just easy. Mm-hmm. I went through the whole course and I didn't break a sweat. Mm-hmm. So then I went to my sports science degree and I found that was more science than sport.
Okay.
So I spent more time in a lab coat.
Yeah, which is not what you wanted either.
Absolutely not. That was the opposite of what I wanted. Uh-huh. So I found that I left those two courses with limited more knowledge. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All the knowledge that I had accumulated, or most of the knowledge that I had accumulated, was through my own training, my own upskilling. I started training in the gym at about 17. Okay. I quit soccer to pursue a better lifestyle, I guess, a more casual lifestyle and go to the gym more. Mm-hmm. And that just became my bread and butter. So did the degree, then got into strength and conditioning, working in private facilities. I quickly realised elite sports was my ultimate goal. I quickly realised that the money that you get paid in elite sport doesn't compensate you for the amount of time and expertise that's required to get the job. Mm-hmm. So my business partner, Matt, he followed pretty much the exact same vein. He might not have been so disappointed with his Cert 3-4, but we ended up working in the same place. He was actually my boss.
Okay, I was going to ask where you guys met.
Yeah. So Matt was my boss. Mm-hmm. We were working out at Woodford Sports Science Consulting. Okay. So Christian there was someone that I always used to look at his videos when I was learning, and I used to be like, hey, I want to learn off this guy because he's got the same fire that I feel that I have, and he just doesn't care. He couldn't care less what you think about him, and I respect that. So started off there as an intern. Okay, that was under Matt, and then Matt gave me the job, and we pretty quickly made a good relationship. I guess the one way you could say it is he's more ice. I'm more fire. So he does all the things that I hate and I do all the things that he hates.
Yeah, which is perfect.
It's a great
partnership.
Great partnership.
Yep.
We don't step on each other's toes at all.
So you've got. It sounds like you've got clearly defined roles then within your business. Yeah.
So I'm more sales and marketing. I'm more talking.
Yep.
He's more behind the scenes and sort of facilitating what we need to do to have the best course. So Matt was primarily responsible for our student manual, which I think we'll discuss in detail a little bit later. But he wrote that manual, consulting with industry experts, the Woodfords of the world, the Athletes Authority of the world. That's been updated 5 times in our short 2-year lifespan already. Okay. So yeah, we were working at Woodfords, and we ended up getting a teaching gig for the company that I said wasn't so
crash hot.
And we just decided, you know what, let's do this and let's do it right.
All right, well, that leads into my next question then. So those early days, how did you go about finding those initial clients?
It was actually closer to about 9 months.
All right.
In terms of from that day, sitting there bench pressing together to the actual first day of class. It was about October 2017 to October 2018. To July 2018, sorry. So the way we went about it was firstly, obviously, lock down how our partnership was going to work. From there, who cares who Orphic Education is? Who cares if you say that you have the best course in Australia?
Yeah.
You need concrete, reputable networks around you to prove that you mean business. So luckily, we'd both been in the industry for about 6-7 years each at that point. Okay. As you can probably tell, I'm a talker. I talk to a lot of people a lot of the time, and I just go by the general ethos of if you do the right thing for people, people will do the right thing back. Yeah. So we didn't find it hard to lock in meetings. Yep. And then when what you're selling is a good, genuine product, and it's essentially framed as join us, revolutionise the way that fitness education's been done. Because right now, or up until then, it was just people in suits. Like, this is how I picture it. There's people in suits saying, oh yeah, we've put 100 people through this year. That means we've made $200,000.
They're just churning through it. It's just numbers. Yeah.
There's no care. There's these people have never worked in the industry. So how can you teach something that you've never worked in?
Yeah. So there's a lot of cold calling as well. Like, are you just ringing up gyms and potential partners and saying, hey, this is what we're offering. Can we come in for a meeting?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that worked, obviously.
Yeah. So at the start, we leveraged mostly off our networks.
Yep. But that can only go so far, you only know so many people before you don't know any more people.
Exactly right. And you've got to get comfortable cold calling.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to be successful in business.
It's a tough skill to master, I think.
It is.
Cold calling.
And it's a tough skill to master is learning how to deal with repeated failure.
Yeah.
And it's even more frustrating in this context because the model that you're proposing to these people is only beneficial to them.
Yeah, I mean, you that level of frustration would come because it's good, right? You're passionate about it, and you're like, why don't people want to say yes every single time I call them?
Exactly right. Yeah. But the reality is we're all busy people.
Yep.
This is everything to me, but
it's nothing to other people. It's potentially nothing to other people. Yeah.
So it's all about having a bit of perspective, I guess.
Yeah, true. Do you want to walk us through the process of someone signing up for a course at Orphic? Like, what would they expect? How would they go about on day one? Where do they go? Do they talk to you initially, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk you through from the base level. I'll give you my little spiel of what I would tell you on the phone if I was on a sales call with you.
Yeah, awesome.
So we essentially have a 3-tiered learning system. Okay. This is what separates us from the rest of the providers. Tier 1 is your online stuff. I'll be completely honest with you, it's not too different to what you're going to get with anybody else. It's just stuff that needs to be ticked off. X, Y, Z, tick, tick, tick. Okay, you can get your certification. We take pride in our online system. We think that it's fantastic, but we still have to be guided by strict guidelines. Tier 2 is your 26 weeks of face-to-face classes. So this is going through a completely separate curriculum, and that's the curriculum that my business partner Matt drew up, and we've changed about 5 times. We have complete creative freedom with this stuff. So about 80% of the time that you're going through that, you're spending on the gym floor, coaching, being coached, learning regressions, progressions of each lift, learning periodization, all these things that Matt and I felt were completely neglected in our courses.
Okay.
And then your tier 3 is we have about 120 facilities Australia-wide that host placement. I felt that in my education process, that going to internships and doing placement at different sites was where I learned the most. I had a pen, I had a paper, I'd seek out actively the best coaches in Australia, and I would go and try to spend as much time as possible watching them do what they do, and just asking them, why are you doing this? Why this type of squat? Why using a trap bar? So we get our students access to as many different facilities as they want to go to. I always say, the more you bust my balls to set you up with placement sites, the happier I am, because the better coach you're going to be.
Okay. So are they mostly located in Victoria, or have you got them all around the country?
Oh, we're national now.
We started in Victoria though, right?
Started in Victoria.
Yeah, and then expanded out from there.
So essentially, we started off with one facility in Victoria, went to 2, quickly expanded to 3. Now we have an east, west and central. Then the next one was Sydney or New South Wales. We have one in the north, one in the south. Then it was South Australia, then out in Perth.
Okay.
So a little bit of a widespread.
And if you're the facility itself, what would they get out of bringing on one of your students?
So obviously they get a financial remuneration.
Okay.
Their responsibilities are simply to have a space in the classroom, or have a classroom space for our students to learn in, have obviously a gym, which they all have. We specifically target gyms that have an education focus already. So they have the ability to then teach these students further. We say that even though our certification is 2 steps ahead of the next, there's still so much to learn. So the gyms get access to those students. They have access to them for workers, placement students, all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so they obviously there's the financial remuneration, but there's also they get another pair of hands on site to help
and they
them.
get to train someone from the ground up.
Okay.
From day dot.
Do you find that a lot of students then go and work for the people that train them, or do they go off and do their own thing, or how? What are the outcomes, I suppose, that you would expect? Yeah,
it's quite funny actually. I thought getting into it, I thought that a lot more people would pursue working at the facility that they've actively seeked out learning at. But a lot of people come into it with jobs already set up.
Oh, right.
Either through a friend or...
Okay. So they've got the job lined up and then they're looking for the education to start that career.
Yeah. They're essentially looking to tick the box. But when I talk to them, because up until this week, I've been responsible for sales calls.
Okay.
Now we've got someone else on who's very capable. And I just say, you can go to another course. You have a job lined up. That's fantastic. You can go to a course that's going to take you a lot quicker, and it's going to be just skim through all the data and tick those boxes. But what about the rest of your career? What happens then? What happens when you get a client who's slightly outside of the norm, and you have to rack your brain, and you're like, wow, they can't do a back squat. What do I do instead of a back squat? You don't even realize that you've got 10 other types of squats at your disposal. So that's my advice to students mostly, is invest in yourself.
Your branding is pretty cool. Orphic in itself. What does Orphic mean? I don't know off the top of my head.
We get asked that question a lot, actually. It's we were looking for a name, and we didn't want to be another AIDZ, PIDZ, whatever.
Triple A.
We didn't want to be another series of letters that just...
fair enough.
It's like off a duck's back, water off a duck's back. So we wanted something with a bit of impact, and my business partner was just looking it up about 5 minutes in, and he's like, Orphic.
Did you say, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I pretty much... It was over the phone, and I'm like, what are you on about, mate?
It sounds cool, but what does it mean?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's actually like ancient Greek or ancient... ancient something or other. And Orphic, and the egg and the snake. That's the symbol for Orphic, and it means beyond ordinary understanding.
Oh, cool.
So that's our slogan.
That's your tagline, isn't it? Yeah, awesome.
We felt that fit. and we just ran with it.
So you're obviously active across social media as well. So you guys are pumping out content across, I'd say mainly Facebook and Instagram would be your two.
They're
two
the main
channels.
ones.
Yep.
Not as often as we probably should have at this point, just because we were a two-man band until this week.
There's only so many hours in the day.
Exactly right, and you sort of prioritise where you spend that time.
Yep.
But we've got, like I said, we've got a guy on now. His name's Alexander, so it's getting quite confusing. I'm Alex, he's Alexander. So
he's taking care of your marketing. Is that what he's doing?
Sales,
Okay.
social media, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, cool.
This bloke, I can't speak highly enough of him.
Awesome.
It's the sort of person that you build a business around. So, he's going to take over, and he's just going to add his own flavour to it. So we've given him complete creative freedom.
Yep.
We trust his vision.
So how did you find him? Was someone you know, or did you advertise for the job?
We've known him for a while. We've known him for quite a while. Matt was a bit closer with him. But we met him, how long ago? Maybe about 4 years.
Yeah, right.
It's actually a funny story because I've seen a lot of people come and go. And the main thing that I see is people come in and they've got this fire in them. And I'm like, you're burning so hot that I don't know if you can maintain this. And they're just going 50, 60 hours a week. And just when they've got an off time, they're reading books about what they're working about. And I've never been about that. I thought it was laziness. I think now with more wisdom, it was just a bit of perspective that I didn't know that I had.
Yeah, you got to have some downtime.
Yeah, you got to enjoy. Otherwise, you're going to end up hating your life and you're going to end up hating your work. So he came in and he was red hot.
Yeah.
This guy was absolutely red hot, had a YouTube channel. His application for the internship that he was going for was absolutely phenomenal. And the first thought that I had, just because I'd seen it so many times, not knowing this guy, was he's going to burn out. And you know what? He's kept that perspective throughout, the perspective that we just spoke about. He's not only not burnt out, but he's gotten better. See, he just prioritises what he wants to do. And when we offered him the role, he actually said to us, I'll have a think. If this is something I want to do, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
He won't take something on if he's...
Yeah, he likes to think it through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he, unless it adds value, which is exactly how I am and exactly how my business partner Matt is, otherwise, you're just treading water. You're eventually going to drown.
But you yourself, so I noticed on a couple of your social media posts that you've done a few podcasts before with other people.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's obviously something that you've focused on as a way to get your message out there.
Yeah.
Has that been working well?
I like this form of conversation. I love Joe Rogan. I really resonate with a message that he had was people are sick of advertising where it's 30 seconds, get the point. This is more of a genuine way to actually understand what somebody's about.
And you get to, that's right, you get to learn about the person that you're potentially going to pay for.
Yeah, exactly right. And if you can see that, wow, this Alex guy, he's not just talking shit about...
Seems like a decent bloke.
Yeah. He's actually... I believe what he's saying.
Yep.
Then you're all the more likely to invest, which is fantastic for me and it's fantastic for my brand.
Yeah. And you're doing videos as well on Facebook?
Yeah,
so
they're more salesy.
Yeah, they are a little bit, but that's fine. You got to have that, that Gary V jab, right hook. So you've got to promote yourself at some point along the way. But so are you going to place more of a focus on you being the face of your brand and putting more content out there?
It doesn't really sit that well with me to be the face of something.
Yep.
It might not seem like it on the surface. I like to distance myself.
So would you then maybe let the brand itself be the voice rather than the individuals?
Exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly right. And then I can take not a step back.
Or someone's got to control it.
Exactly.
Someone's controlling that brand. So
we control the narrative.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect,
but it's less about, Alex is saying this now. He's being provocative.
Yep.
And all that sort of stuff. It's more, really what I wanted to achieve in those videos that we did was to identify the current issue, which I think a lot of people aren't aware of at all. So a lot of people think Certificate 3-4 in fitness and they think those main two providers, which I won't name, I don't know what the legalities are.
The big names.
The big names. Yep. And they think, okay, they're okay. They've been around for ages.
Yep.
They're pretty good. But in reality, there's a big glaring problem. And that's firstly online only courses. I have a massive problem with that. Secondly, lack of placement, opportunities and requirement. So you can get through an online only course and do like 20 hours of placement. You spent 20 hours in a gym to become a personal trainer.
It's just not enough.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Which other industry can you do that?
Yeah.
To become an apprentice plumber, in 4-year apprenticeship. Like,
when you put it in that perspective, it's a massive difference. Like, you don't really think about that until someone says it to you. But
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, it's
and
huge.
you're looking after someone's body.
Exactly
Like,
right.
that's their number one asset. Their
You have
health
the
and their
potential
fitness. Yeah.
to stuff them up
Yeah.
for life.
Yeah. And if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
You can always get another plumber in.
exactly right. And you know what? Insurance will probably cover that.
Yeah, true.
Insurance might cover your spinal surgery,
Yeah,
but
still,
you're
what
never
does
the
that
same.
matter? Yeah.
You're not going to be able to pick up your kids
That's
ever
right,
again.
That's right. Yeah.
So
the impacts are potentially huge.
yeah, it's not regulated stiffly enough,
Yep.
if at all. There are just way too many things that are let slide in this industry.
All right, well, moving forward, I know you've got some big plans, some stuff you can, some stuff you can't talk about, but if you take maybe a holistic view about your business, where do you see yourself in maybe 5 years or 10 years down the track? What's the overarching guiding light that you've got?
We said this from the start. It was ambition from two young kids at that point, 22, 23-year-olds. We want to change the way that fitness education is done. We don't want people to think fitness education and think going to a building in the CBD and having one of those flipped desks and just sitting there for 8 hours a day taking notes.
Yeah.
We want people to think, certificate 3-4 in fitness, I need to get qualified. We're going to go to that gym. And what we found is that my biggest worry initially with this business was, okay, we've got these networks, that's fantastic. What happens when we've tapped out their networks? Obviously, that's a finite resource if you've got 20,000 followers.
Yeah.
But what we found is, through the trust that these brands have worked so hard to generate, people say to their friends, if they've got someone within their network that's thinking about getting a certificate 3-4 in fitness, they say, no, you don't go to them, you go to Orphic. They've partnered with this lot, and they wouldn't partner with someone that's crap. In a way, we're lucky and we're thankful for the brands that took a punt on us. And hopefully we can...
just jump in there. There's some big brands as part of that. You've got BodyFit as one of them, Fitness First. I mean, they're major players.
Yeah. So I guess those are the ones that came on later on.
Yep. Yeah, I know, but you still managed to work up to them.
Yeah.
You know, like, you've got to start somewhere.
Of course.
You can't start with the big guys.
Yeah. No, look, we were, to be honest with you, over the moon that they jumped on. They're not the type of businesses that are going to take a punt on a small upstart. So I'd be remiss to not mention our main partners that jumped on with us from the start. So Woodford's, BodySeek, Australian Strength Performance, Athletes Authority, Adonis Athletics. These are some of the premier strength facilities in Australia, in my eyes, and in a lot of people's eyes. And then from there, they helped us. So they had a massive role in improving our curriculum. They had a massive role in getting us the trust that we currently have in the market. And then essentially the next phase was rolling out to these bigger organisations. So BodyFit, Fitness First, we have a couple of Good Lives promoting in Victoria, and about 15 or so plus fitness facilities as well. So they're not hosting intakes, they're referring students in.
That's a huge network then, really, isn't it?
It's about 120 facilities and RBT gyms as well, which is one of our newest ones.
Yep. I think word of mouth in the fitness industry is just about everything.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, that if you've got a good reputation and people are happy to recommend you, I mean, it can do wonders for your business.
For sure. And that's the goal.
Yep.
If your students leave your course and they don't say good stuff about you, you've just taken a fairly significant chunk of money and time from them. And we personally promise a lot. And we like to think we deliver. And the feedback that we're getting from our students is that we are.
Yeah, great.
But it wouldn't sit well with Matt or myself if we got negative feedback.
Yeah.
And that's been the case in about we've gotten one piece of negative feedback, which wasn't centered around what we did. There was a whole bunch of extenuating circumstances, but we still got really good feedback on our model from that student.
That's what you want to hear. It means that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, the other personal factors you can't control.
No, of course. There's always something. I mean, we're the same. Sometimes things don't go right, but it's not really about the thing that went wrong. It's about how you try and rectify that issue. And if you can do a good job there, generally you maintain a relationship with the customer.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
My dad's been in business since, about 25, 26 years old.
Yeah, right.
And since I've been old enough to actually care, to listen
and understand
what he's been telling me, his main message is the customer's right. Regardless what happens, within certain bounds, obviously, like you're not going to give someone a full refund because they couldn't be bothered doing the course anymore. Within certain bounds, the customer's always right, and your customer service will dictate your brand's reputation.
Yep, and that's everything.
Yeah.
The brand reputation is everything.
Like we said before, it comes back to you.
Yep, and it's your, it's your baby, isn't it? So
exactly right. The exact words that were going to come out of my mouth is, this is our baby.
Yep.
I don't want people talking ill about my baby.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. Oh, exactly right. It's a fine line between taking it personally and trying to keep in the back of your mind that it's business.
Exactly right.
All right. So, Alex, if people are feeling inspired to get in touch with you and take on one of your courses, how would they go about doing that?
So you can submit an inquiry at www.orphiceducation.com. Or alternatively, you can find us on Facebook.
Yep.
Our tag for both Facebook and Instagram is @Orphic Education.
Yep. So if someone dropped a submission to you guys, do you personally get back to them, or how does that work?
Up until this week, it would have been me.
Now you got
that. If you're inspired by this conversation, you want to have a personal chat with me, just chuck it in the inquiry and I'll give you a call.
Yep. Awesome.
Otherwise, it'll be the other Alexander. There's not too much difference. He's a good dude.
Perfect. All right, mate. Thank you. I know everyone's really busy, so we do appreciate you taking the time to come down to Hyperbeat HQ and have a chat to us this afternoon. So thanks very much. No worries. If you'd like to be involved in an episode of the Hyperbeat podcast, send an email to info@hyperbeat.com.au or contact us through our social media channels.